So the other day I was sent a fragrance by one of my subscribers, Camzat, so thank you Camzat. He sent me Jean Paul Gaultier's Le Beau Le Parfum, knowing that I had already had the original Le Beau. He sent it to me because he was in the midst of picking up one or the other, and he wanted to know my viewpoint on it, which one that I thought was better, both on the opening and the dry down. And so in this video, I'm going to be giving you that answer. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright my dudes, welcome back. This is Randy, aka Fragrance Dude, coming back with another video, and today I'm going to come at you with a comparison video of two fragrances in the same line, and that is already a flanker of Le Male. Apparently it's a flanker of Le Male. This is Le Beau, even though it goes in a completely different direction. This is a spring and summer type fragrance that is more gourmand for spring and summer, a sweet spring and summer fragrance. And then you have that flanker of this, which is Le Beau Le Parfum, which I was sent by Camzat. I'm going to get into the comparison, but before I do, as always, like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell for future notifications. It always does help out my channel, and it only takes a minute. So as far as the Le Beau is concerned, I'll start out with this. So again, Camzat, all he wanted to know was which one I liked better, both in the opening and the dry down, and which one I think is the better pickup. So at the end, I will let you know that. But as far as the Le Beau is concerned, there's only a 3-note breakdown here. The top note is bergamot, the mid note is coconut, and the base note is tonka bean. And really, that's the only notes that you need to know here. In the top, all you get is this coconut vanilla mixture, which is that tonka bean. They're mixed together, and it's really sweet. It's gourmand, it's nice. And then you get this sweet, citrusy tone in the background. It's more of a nuance of a fragrance note, but it is there from the bergamot. As you work your way into the mid into the dry down, it doesn't change very much, except for that slight nuance of a fragrance note from the bergamot is completely gone. And then you get a little bit more of that tonka bean coming out, and the coconut dissipates a bit. And you also get a little touch of this earthiness from either patchouli or a little bit of woods. But for the most part, it's that coconut and tonka bean or vanilla that mix together to have this nice, sweet, gourmand, fresh fragrance. And so it's a little bit aromatic as well. There's not really much else to say about this fragrance except for the performance is one that's been harped on a little bit. I don't really care because it lasts about 4 to 5 hours. It projects a little bit above moderately. I'd say about arm's length for the first 2 hours. For the first about half hour, you do get heavy projection, but I'm going to say moderate across the board for the first 2 hours. So that's the only thing, is that it doesn't last super long amount of time, which is surprising because it is a sweet gourmand type fragrance, and the notes are vanilla or tonka bean and coconut. You would think they would last a bit longer, but they don't. But for me, for what I use this fragrance for, which is a daytime gourmand, I only need that 4 to 5 hour mark as well. But that's Le Beau Eau de Toilette. It's a fantastic fragrance, and the bottle is beautiful. It has those golden, takes the Le Male bottle, it makes it clear, gives it a little bit of pointed edges. You got that gold on there and down there. It's actually a really nice bottle, probably my favorite in the Le Male line. And so now we're going to be talking about the Le Beau Le Parfum, which came out in 2022. It's a new release, and again, he wanted to know if it's better or not. So I'm going to give you the note breakdown first. The top notes are pineapple, iris, cypress, and ginger. The mid notes are coconut and woodsy notes, and the base notes are tonka bean, sandalwood, amber, and ambergris. So in the original one, I said you get a little bit of that earthiness. I think you might get a little bit of patchouli and sandalwood mixed in there, which is where I get a little bit of that woods and a little bit of that earthiness from. It's just not in the note breakdown. This one, they're a little bit more detailed, and so a lot of those notes you don't really pay attention to, like iris and cypress and ginger. They're really not that prominent of notes. It really does smell very similar to the original Le Beau in the opening, except for the Le Beau Le Parfum in the opening is sweeter. It has a bit of fruitiness from that pineapple, and it is definitely a better, sweeter, stronger, more in your face opening. So as far as the opening for Le Beau, eau de toilette, I would probably say it's about an 8.5, while this would be about a 9, 9.5. That is how good the opening of Le Beau Le Parfum is. You get that coconut, you get that tonka bean, just like in the original, but then they add in a little bit of the sweetness from that ginger and freshness, and then you get some of that pineapple fruitiness, which really does make this a nice tropical vanillic coconut vibe. It's really nice. The issue with this fragrance is that about 15 minutes into the fragrance, not even, as soon as it starts to dry down, on the tester, it dries down about 5 minutes in. But if you spray this on your skin, in about 10 to 15 minutes, it starts to get really odd. Unlike the original eau de toilette, where it gets that vanilla coming up more, the coconut dissipates, and you're left with a little bit of this earthiness. This earthiness really comes in and gives a real funky smell. It's not terrible. It has such an amazing opening that you are thinking this is going to be one of the best fragrance releases of the year. And then all of a sudden, this ambergris and tonka bean and sandalwood kind of just mixed together terribly. And it's the way they mix together, it just doesn't make sense compared to the opening. So the Le Beau Le Parfum, it just has I don't know really how to explain it other than it's a dirty dry down. And while this fragrance does, as a Le Parfum, I would have expected it to last about 8 hours in comparison to the original, but really you only get about 6. So you get about an hour, maybe an hour and a half more than the original. But in comparison to the original eau de toilette, is it better? It's a much better opening. It's like, you can definitely tell the prominent pineapple mixed in with that original Le Beau DNA is fantastic. It's a much better opening. But as far as the whole fragrance as a whole, because you have to think, you're wearing this for 6 hours. So for 5 hours and 45 minutes of it, it is a semi-vanillic, semi-coconut, dirty fragrance that is just not very good. I mean, it's okay. I would put it at like a 6.5 or a 7 in the dry down. While this one is an 8.5 in the opening and like an 8.4 in the dry down. It's nice throughout. And if that happened with this one, this would be much better. But overall, this is the better fragrance and definitely worth the pickup because it is a better price as well. While the Le Beau Le Parfum is still a good fragrance overall, it's still middle of the pack because of that dry down. If the opening would have lasted longer, I would have changed my mind and said no. It is definitely the better fragrance. It's better than the original. That opening going into a very nice dry down, even if it had the opening it had, and then in 15 minutes it changed to the dry down of the original Le Beau, this would have definitely been the better fragrance. But they didn't do that. They added this funky note into it, and it doesn't smell like sandalwood. It doesn't smell like tonka bean. It doesn't smell like ambergris. While you do get a little bit of those facets in there, especially the tonka, you get this earthiness, either from like a patchouli or a vetiver or something that just does not sit right in the fragrance. And if you smell this, you would know exactly what I'm talking about. If you smell this and you know that little subtle hint of earthiness, times that by 10 and put it into the original, into the Le Parfum. But if you guys have smelled them, let me know what you think. Again, the Le Beau Eau de Toilette, I think, is the better overall fragrance, while the Le Parfum has the better opening. Let me know what you guys think in the dry down, and let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you agree with me that the original Eau de Toilette is better, while the new Le Parfum is not bad? It's just not worth the pickup at the price, especially when you have the Le Beau out there. But if not, just like, comment, subscribe, and I'll be back with another one. Peace.